Hi everyone, welcome back to Beno Sester Malka's channel. With all the changes going on, I really want to help you bring normalcy and routine to your life. And I'm just going to give you some tips that have worked for me because, I went into school one Friday. I wished my children, goodbye. And I honestly thought we would come back to school. The weekend went by. Saturday was a good Saturday, spent time with my family. Sunday, the mayor got on, was like, yeah, you're having school. Sunday night, it was like, oh, school's canceled. And I'm like, what? So nobody under any circumstance was prepared for what happened. Now, because it happened so suddenly, I can only assume, sadly, that either A, to think positive, that it'll just get up one day and say, hey, Corona's gone, get back to school. That's what I hope. Or number two, we don't know when school will be back in session. So I kind of want to speak with all of you today on the importance of setting a routine. Now, I know you're like, oh, a routine, I'm busy, this, that, the other. I'm going to teach you how to set up a routine that can work for anyone. Children, babies, adults, grown-ups, because the kids, I don't know what's happening. I'm in charge of a school. I say when it's open, I say when it's closed. If I can't say what's happening, and the mayor can't say what's happening, and the president can't say what's happening, we as adults need to say, you know what? We're the adults. We're going to struggle through this, but we're going to keep it normal for the kids. So the first thing is just take a blank piece of paper and I jot down for myself, because I'm a visual person. So I jot down for myself 3 things that never change in a normal day. And that is breakfast, lunch, and supper. You feed your kids breakfast, lunch, and supper. Doesn't change. And, we all agree with that. From there, I make my whole entire schedule. And let's start with breakfast. So the first questions I ask myself about breakfast is, what happens before breakfast? Are my kids the type jump out of bed, eat breakfast, and pray? Or are my kids the type who like to take their time, they need to get up for breakfast, it's a 45-minute routine, and then we have breakfast. So if my kids are the type to, let's get out of bed and eat now, then I'll wake them up 20 minutes before breakfast, and I'll wake myself up about a half hour before breakfast. Now for me, I like to be up before the kids so I can decompress, plan the breakfast, and once I'm cheery, they're cheery, and we go into breakfast cheery. So take care of myself, take care of the kids, take care of breakfast. If my kids are the type that take their time, well, then I'll go into their room. We'll wake up at the same time, let's say an hour before. I'll wake them up the first time, go plan the breakfast, do what I need to do, ignore them. Because at this point, I know they need their time. So I'll take care of myself while they're waking up. And then I'll go in again and kind of nudge them a little bit. And eventually we'll all have breakfast together at that set time. Now, once breakfast is given, then I plan from breakfast to lunch. And from breakfast to lunch is usually schoolwork. And now this is really different because this depends. Do I have toddlers? Do I have older kids? Do I have high school kids? And now the colleges are at home. So, oh my goodness, what's going on? No, so I plan that out. And again, this depends on your family. It could be one of 2 things. Number 1, you'd have to plan out schedule per child. Or number 2, you have to plan out just here's how it's doing and no problem. Now, during that time period, really think about your family. If you have toddlers, you may want to do like 10 minutes of work with them, give them a break, then, just double check on your teenager, but that really depends on you. Now, the one thing I'm going to stress, don't overburden your kids with schoolwork. Because you know what? Nobody could prepare for this. If you have a concern with a specific child, reach out to their teacher, ask for help because they want to help you. They're stuck in a situation of no answers. You're stuck in a situation with no answers. Communicate. Don't overburden your kids. Communicate. And I'm telling you, they will be more than happy to answer you. So again, so you plan from breakfast to lunch, and that includes mostly schoolwork. During lunch, everything stops. There's no work talk. There's no schoolwork talk. It's you, your kids, and we are enjoying this meal together. There is no distractions. Now, a lot of times, this is like the first time you've ever kind of had like family meals, now having 3 times a day. So either A, your family can, you just know what to do and you have fun conversations and totally cool, all works out. In the situation where, and it happens all the times, it's like there's silence. What do? Throw out an open-ended question. How was your day? What did you learn that was new today? And this is my favorite one. Where did you find your happiness? Because, I don't know what's happening. And we're all in the same place. So I can tell you, for me, the other day we actually got a new board game. And it was really stressful because this game had like a rule booklet that was like as big as a novel. Anyway, so we're playing, okay, little exaggeration, but it had a lot of rules. And all of a sudden, my happiness, like, oh, I understood the rule. That was my happiness. And I can share that with my kids. And we can all share that with each other. And if you just ask basic questions, like pick 1 or 2 questions, per meal, they're forgetting all this chaos and they're focusing on, I have you guys. Now that brings me to finish lunch, and I have to plan from lunch to supper. In lunch until supper, again, if there's Zoom classes schedules, that doesn't change, or virtual classes or whatever it is, that doesn't change. From lunch to supper, your kids should do their schoolwork and finish it. If you think about it, just take a second to think about it. Your kids are at home doing work. For me personally, I don't see a reason why there should be homework post-school time. If they're in college or high school or doing a specialty class, maybe because you have a special project, but the average child who is sitting in school or online from 9 until 12 or whatever 9 to 12, and take the break for lunch, and they go back until 3 or 4, it's reasonable to have all the schoolwork done by dinner time, which is a huge bonus. So you finish your schoolwork, and that's nothing. The kids know we're stopping with learning. Learning is finished, and now we can enjoy dinner. Now, I do want to point out, I know a lot of you, 1 or both of you, are really working full-time at home, in addition to juggling your kids' schedules. So that brings me to my next tip. If you can, and I suggested this, join your kids for all 3 meals, both of you. If you can't, then do your best to make sure that you take turns being present. Like, let's say I'll choose breakfast, you'll choose lunch, supper, or, today I'll do all 3 meals, tomorrow I'll do all 3 meals. Whatever the case is, with your spouses or responsible adults in the house, take turns. The kids should see that you guys are there for them. So keep taking turns. Which brings me, this is my favorite part of the day, and that is after supper. What do you do with after supper? So we've found something that works fantastic. Fantastic. And you can do it with every kid in every age group. And so what we do is we take table in the beginning of the week, everybody goes throughout the house and they pick an activity. It could be a board game, it could be a card game, it could be coloring, whatever it is, everybody picks an activity and stacks it up. Now, you think, how is my 3-year-old going to play a board game? Guess what? Put them on a team. Have them roll a die. They are going to love it when you see their board. Because 3-year-old is rolling dice for, let's say, a complicated game. Just send them off to play. They're going to love the fact that they were able to play a 3-year-old and a teenager. So put aside a stack of games or whatever it is. And again, every child chooses their own. So a 3-year-old might choose coloring, and a teenager may choose a board game. And that's okay. That's rule number 1. Everybody chooses a game. Rule number 2, we found this to work best. We start from youngest to oldest, and we just keep going in that cycle. Round and round and round. Rule number 3 is every child must participate. Now, again, like I said, it's a little hard, but guess what? It's not that hard. The younger child may participate in terms of rolling the die, being on a team, whatever they can participate in. And the older child will just get to participate in everything. So we're all having fun together. And number 4, this one depends on the night. If it's a short activity, then you could do 2 or 3 per night. If it's a longer activity, then you do like a board game, Monopoly, then you just do 1 per night. And then after that, you guys do your normal, bedtime schedule. Oh, and that's important, bedtime. You must have a bedtime. Now, I fully understand your kids are home and it's freer and they're doing less physical activity because we can't go outside. I mean, I'm in an apartment. I'm not going outside. I can't go to the park, so I'm stuck in an apartment. So you might say, let's say during the year is 7, 8 o'clock schedule. Now that we're home, do 9, 10 o'clock schedule. Whatever the case is, that's fine. But your kids will go to sleep on their set bedtime that you planned. And once it's over, take time for yourself. I mean, we don't have answers. We just, every time we get an answer, every time a doctor says, oh, this is going to help and that's going to help, well, the next day they come out with 3 more questions. We don't know what's happening. Let's not try to play hero. Take time for yourself. Sit on the couch and read a book. Do an activity, paint. Do an activity that you could just smile and say, this was a good day. Now, the last thing I want to leave you off with, and this one is it's a very difficult one, because I don't believe in punishments or rewards. Like, you shouldn't reward your kids for sticking to a schedule, because reality is if they were in my class or in anyone else's classes, you're not getting a reward for doing your work. But at the same time, I don't want to give a punishment, because they're stuck with this together. And in a way, another word I don't like, fair. It's not that it's not fair, but unless even, I would say a kid 5 years and older, maybe even some mature 4, 3-year-olds would understand this, but there comes a point where and you can get your kids involved in the scheduling, but this is a schedule. You wrote it up, on a nice paper in a central location. Everybody sees it, and there has to come a consequence for not following it. Now, what I mean is, like, for example, let's say you extend, say 7, 8 o'clock is bedtime, and they stayed up 8, 9 o'clock, and it's already 11, 12 o'clock, and they're up. Now, obviously, they're not sick. So a consequence, and again, you have to set this up before. Don't just do the consequence. Look at your child and say, this is the schedule we are going to follow, and if you don't follow it, I will take your activity out from the game pile. And that is like, all my siblings had, a choice and not me. Which, by the way, parents, stick your game in there too, because you're just as important as your kids, and it's the best. Anyway, the consequence must be there, because your kids need to know that you as a parent are just as much as a team player as they are. And it means like this. I'm a parent. I've set you up with a schedule. I've gone through the work with you. I'm sitting down for 3 meals a day with you, or 2, depending on your routine. And I am giving you my all. Now you have, from wake up until bedtime, to work together on the schoolwork, to come to me with any concerns or issues, and in that case, I will help you with them. And we are going to have family and game time in addition to all that. But if for whatever reason you come to a point and you decide, and this is especially true with the older kids, because it's normal for them to want to push every boundary because everything is so new. But if you are going to push certain boundaries, there is going to be a consequence. So stick to your schedule, make the consequence clear, and let them know that they are equally as part of the team. Because you know what? The only way to get through this next phase of, I guess, school or life is to work as a team. And I wish you all the best of luck. I will be posting a ton of videos both on educational trainings, game schooling, my scheduling, and just stuff to help you guys at home, because I know this is not the ideal situation. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this video was of any help for you, please like it so I know you liked it, and I'll make more of them. And if you can, subscribe, because I plan on posting a lot more of these videos in the upcoming weeks. Thank you guys so much, and stay safe.